Is a quick example of how to complete the DeiC interactive HPC form that CLAAUDIA has offered up for you to be able to get access to a DeiC project number, and that project number will then be able to be inputted if you would like to use the uCloud platform for your compute needs. In this example, we're going to complete a DeiC interactive HPC form for the purpose of doing some basic whisper transcriptions. On researcher.aau.dk, you can click the overhead panel for guides. Inside guides, you will find research data and software. And inside research data and software, you can click on high performance computing and access to HPC. Inside this access to HPC section, we have some quick links for people who need access to our major services, one of which is the DeiC interactive HPC project, which you would like to complete. And that will take you to the DeiC interactive HPC project form. To complete this form, you should probably read the information provided at the start of the form. It gives you some information about how to reference the use of these resources that DeiC have provided, and some more information about what type of projects you might be running. If you're running a teaching project, for example, you will need to know that it would not make sense to try to list all of the participants in your class, but rather to use the project invitation link. You need to describe this in the form, and I'll show you where you can do that. To start with, you need to confirm that you have read and are aware of all the terms and conditions, and that you have been to uCloud and logged in at it. Either whether you do it now or you do it afterwards, you still need to accept the terms and conditions as you log in for the first time. I'm going to input my name, Robert Smith, and my email address is also publicly available, so I don't mind putting that up here. And I'm part of the ITS department at CLAAUDIA, and we can just give this a name for this demo purposes. Demo completion of form for video series. Winter 2023. It's a new project, and I'm going to just give that a very brief title here. If possible, we would prefer that you give us a complete description of your research in about the same length as an abstract. As we say, 5,000 characters max, but it gives us a good idea both why we should approve these resources and what the value of this research is that you're doing, but it also gives us an indication of what type of research is being done with these HPC facilities. All right, I'm just going to input here demo for video purposes as a very short one for now. And let's pretend that we're going to use sensitive information starting from today and ending tomorrow, the 6th of December, 2023. And let's go next. I'm an administrative person, and this question about what the purpose of the project is relates to who is this video for. So in other words, not the video, but the project, who is this project for? And that is not necessarily your own title, but if you are setting up a project on behalf of students for a research project, then this is on behalf of students. If it is on behalf of yourself or other researchers for research purposes, then it would be researchers. I'm doing this for my own purposes as an administrative person. The next question is about the SDU standard compute resources. And these are the only ones you're allowed to use if you are going to be working with anything higher than level 1 in the Danish, or at least the Aalborg University data classification scheme. The standard compute resources are in Danish crowns, which you can work out by going to the uCloud platform and checking what the providers offer in terms of products and their prices. Otherwise, we've got a guide here for the machine that we recommend Whisper transcription users to apply for. And that would be a 16 vCPU machine, which we have found to be the most effective at transcribing. And that costs 1 Danish crown 36 per hour. And if you work on roughly 1-to-1 in terms of the number of hours of speech and the time for transcribing, then it would be roughly 6.5 hours in our example here of recorded speech would require roughly 1 crown 36 per hour, so just under 10 Danish crowns to be able to complete. that's a rough measure. It might change depending on the quality of your audio or whether or not the model has difficulty reading the audio out of your recording. But 1-to-1 is a rough measure, and we have found that our recordings normally are able to transcribe in half the time of the audio. So this should give you a buffer of about 50%. And then round it up. So round it up to the nearest 50. In this case, it's quite a big rounding compared to the size of the amount that we need. But 50 Danish crowns is neither here nor there in terms of the resources that are available. So for small projects such as this, 50 Danish crowns is entirely reasonable. We're going to put that number in down here. And then in terms of the amount of storage space you need to define that yourself based on the audio files you have. And this is in gigabytes, with the smallest value being 1. So 3 gigabytes will be more than enough, but it's just an example. So we're going to only want standard compute resources for this project and go next. We don't need any public IP addresses. If you do need public IP addresses, please just check first whether or not the application you have or want to use on uCloud does not have a direct SSH connection possibility. If it does, then you don't actually need a public IP address, because you can access it via secure SSH without one. The other 3 points on this page are licenses for MATLAB, Console, and ANSYS, none of which I'm going to use here, but for which we do have a license server at AAU that can provide a license to uCloud. It's a little bit more involved than I'm likely to show in the next few videos, so I'll leave that out for now. And then we have the group members, and I am the first group member and only of this project. And if I wanted to add another one, I could click yes, and it just pops out an additional section beneath. I don't, and I'm going to go next, and I have no external collaborators. An important point is that you cannot use this form to apply for external collaborators. You can only use it to register the ones you have already had approved, both departmentally and by the Department of Grants and Contracts, for use of the uCloud, or at least use of the uCloud platform on the data that you're providing. So none for this project, and let's click submit. You just get a thanks like that, and we'll get your application sent to us via Microsoft Teams. Once we have approved it, you'll get an email back. This will take a few seconds, so I'm going to include it in the video, and then I can show you exactly what it looks like. So here is the approval that has just arrived. Approve it, and then hopefully you should be able to see that video or that approved email. This is an approved mail or the approval mail for that project, Robert Smith, and this is actually the one from the previous one, so let me just open the new one that I've just received. There, it's just come through. Here is the approval mail that I've just received come in for this project. I have a DeiC project number, which I will use in my application online on the uCloud platform together with my work zone number. And here is the name of the project as we've just entered it in the form. All of this information gets compiled automatically, so as long as it gets approved by one of us, you'll get this back. If you have included any information or any applications for GPU resources, it's just a note here that your hours that you need to apply for are not GPU hours here, but CPU core hours. And we do some calculations in the back end before sending this back to you to tell you how many you should put in on the uCloud platform. And that's it for this part of it. We'll browse now via the web to the uCloud platform. It's cloud.sdu.dk. And mine is automatically logged in because I have been logged in before. If you're not logged in, this is what your landing page will look like, and you can click on the WAIF login to log into the uCloud platform.